Welcome, dear Cancers, both my loyal companions who return week after week and those stumbling into Zodiac Talks Tarot for the very first time. Picture this, walking into a kitchen where someone has just pulled a tray of cookies from the oven. There's warmth, comfort, a sense of belonging. That, in many ways, is your Cancer energy, nurturing, familiar, and deeply human. But let's not sugarcoat it. Sometimes, in that very same kitchen, there's a pot about to boil over, threatening to turn cozy sweetness into chaos. That's the paradox of your sign, gentle on the surface, yet fierce when pushed, willing to snap those claws if necessary. As we step into the week of September 8th through 14th, the universe is offering you a test, a kind of cosmic pop quiz. Do you keep saying yes until you're buried under everyone else's needs, or do you finally declare, "This is my life, and no one else gets to direct it"? Psychology would tell us that constantly saying yes is just fear of rejection wearing a polite smile. Buddhist wisdom would add that compassion without boundaries is like pouring water into a cracked pot, it drains you dry. And from my years of watching the stars, I'll tell you this, every time Cancer forgets to defend their limits, resentment creeps in like sour milk left on the counter. So this week, your task is clear: practice honesty, wield humor like a shield, and protect your boundaries as though they were sacred. Remember, even a crab knows when to scuttle sideways out of reach. This isn't selfishness, it's survival with style, a small but necessary act in your year of triumph 2025. Cancer, let's talk about something the stars have been whispering and psychology has been shouting for centuries. Your greatest battles rarely arrive dressed as monsters. No one is sneaking into your home at midnight wearing a black cloak to steal your destiny. The real opponents show up in far more ordinary costumes, and that is exactly what makes them so dangerous. They come disguised as the boss who keeps piling responsibilities onto your desk until you begin to wonder if your job description accidentally merged with 3 other departments. They arrive as the partner who, with the sweetest of smiles, gradually nudges you into living a life that looks suspiciously like their dream script instead of your own. And of course, they take shape in family members who love to drape the word duty around your neck like it's the crown jewels, when in reality it's a necklace of barbed wire slowly cutting off your air. Yet, as much as these outer figures complicate your story, the deadliest enemy isn't external at all, it's the voice inside your own head. You know the one. The one that whispers, "Don't rock the boat. Keep the peace. Don't upset anyone." That voice can sound noble, but left unchecked, it makes you the prisoner of your own kindness. I've spent decades studying zodiac patterns, watching how they weave into human psychology and social dynamics, and one thing is clear: Cancer has a dangerous habit of confusing love with servitude, compassion with martyrdom. And when that line blurs, resentment follows. Resentment doesn't announce itself with fireworks, it creeps in slowly, like milk left out on the counter. What once was meant to nourish curdles, turning sour and undrinkable. That is what happens to your love when it's stretched thin and never replenished, it curdles. The universe, in its blunt cosmic humor, has a simple assignment for you this week: live your own story. Not the script your mother wrote for you, not the agenda your boss laid out, not the fantasy your partner would prefer. Yours. And yes, that sounds simple. But ask any Cancer who's been alive long enough, and they'll tell you it's as tricky as convincing a crab to walk in a straight line. Now here's the paradox of you, dear Cancer: you are beloved precisely because you care so deeply. You're the person everyone calls at midnight when their life collapses. You're the one managing family reunions because apparently no one else can handle potato salad logistics. You're the employee who agrees to take the extra shift even though your eyelids weigh more than bricks. You are the emotional glue, the heartbeat of your circle, and simultaneously the most exhausted member of it. And while society will gladly applaud you for being the lifeguard who keeps everyone else afloat, it rarely notices when you're the one drowning. Here's the tough love: the greatest betrayal is not when others abandon you, it's when you abandon yourself. And let me tell you, I've watched countless Cancers commit this betrayal without even realizing it. You don't say no, not because you want to say yes, but because you're afraid of what no might cost. Yet here's the truth from both the stars and the sages: love without boundaries is not love, it's depletion. The Buddha, in his infinite wisdom, reminded us that to pour endlessly from your cup without replenishing it is not holiness. It's self-destruction in a saint's disguise. And while the world may clap for your sacrifice, your spirit quietly collapses under the weight of it. So this week, I'm asking you to practice something that may feel more radical than any spiritual retreat or cosmic alignment. Pause before you say yes. Breathe. Ask yourself the essential question: am I acting from love or from fear? Because love is clear, steady, generous, and expansive. Fear, on the other hand, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of being seen as selfish, is poison disguised as politeness. Love nourishes both giver and receiver. Fear drains the giver until nothing is left. And since humor is often the best delivery system for truth, let me put it this way: imagine you're at a restaurant and the waiter keeps pouring water into your glass, even though the bottom of the cup has cracked. At first, it feels nice. Look at all this attention. But soon, it's just a puddle on the table, a wasted mess, and you're left thirsty anyway. That's what happens when you keep saying yes without pause. You're the cracked cup pretending to be full. So Cancer, the homework is clear. Start patching the cracks. Choose your yes wisely. And don't be afraid of the sacred no. It may tremble on your lips at first, but it will save your soul in the long run. And perhaps the biggest surprise? Those who truly love you will respect you more when you stop abandoning yourself. Because boundaries, far from being walls that shut people out, are bridges that allow relationships to stand on solid, honest ground. This week, dare to build those bridges. Dare to live your own script. And if anyone complains about it, just smile sideways like the crab you are and keep walking. Cancer, let's step away from heavy philosophy for a moment and lean into humor, because sometimes laughter carries the deepest lessons. Picture this: a crab enjoying its day on the beach, nestled comfortably in its little sand burrow, when suddenly a tourist with more curiosity than wisdom decides to scoop it up. Now, what does the crab do? It doesn't say, "Oh, sure, let me also carry your cooler, your sunscreen, and while I'm at it, would you like me to balance your picnic basket on my back?" No. That crab wriggles, snaps its claws, and fights its way out because nature wired it with one essential truth: survival comes first. That, dear Cancer, is your energy this week. Wiggle free when people try to drag you into roles you didn't audition for. Snap if you must, not out of cruelty but out of clarity. Protect your worth, because survival in your case doesn't mean hoarding or selfishness, it means honoring your boundaries so that your famous nurturing energy actually has a future. Even the kindest heart needs armor. After all, what good is a healer who has burned themselves out patching up everyone else's wounds while ignoring their own? But once you've mastered the art of claw-snapping humor, the universe will throw another challenge your way: confusion. The stars suggest you might find yourself in situations that make you feel like someone asked you to cook a 7-course French dinner when the only thing you've mastered is boiling pasta. At work, this might look like being suddenly promoted to manage a project you've never even heard of. At home, it might mean a family member drops a complicated emotional puzzle in your lap, expecting you to play therapist, life coach, and bomb diffuser all without a manual. And here's the thing: Cancer despises feeling incompetent. Your comfort zone lies in your intuition, your memory, and your emotional intelligence. When you know the rhythm, you flow gracefully. But when the rhythm breaks, you want to scuttle back into your shell and wait it out. That's natural, but it's not the solution. This week, the cure for chaos is not bravado but honesty. Admit when you don't know something. Ask the question everyone else is too proud to ask. Say, "This isn't my strength, but here's how I can contribute." That kind of candor wins more respect than pretending to have all the answers while drowning silently in confusion. Remember this truth: ignorance is temporary, arrogance is permanent. You can always learn, but those who cling to false confidence will never unlearn their smugness. And this leads us to the heart of your horoscope: negotiation. For too long, Cancer, you've been cast as the emotional janitor, the one who cleans up the mess after everyone else has had their fun. But here's the plot twist: you are not here to mop up the world's mistakes. You are not here to be steamrolled by louder voices or guilt-tripped into saying yes when your soul is screaming no. This week, negotiation is your greatest spiritual tool. Imagine the power in speaking words that feel like small revolutions: "I can't take this on right now." Or, "I need space for my projects." Or, perhaps the boldest of all, "I respect your opinion, but this is my decision." Simple phrases, yet for a sign like yours, they can feel like climbing Everest barefoot. But every time you speak them, you shift from being the side character in someone else's drama to being the protagonist of your own story. It is not about becoming cold or detached. It is about balance. Buddhist philosophy teaches that compassion without wisdom becomes blind sacrifice. Astrology teaches that Cancer's destiny isn't to disappear into servitude but to thrive as both nurturer and protector. Psychology tells us that when you fail to negotiate for your needs, you unconsciously train others to treat you as if those needs don't matter. Combine those insights, and the message is crystal clear: boundaries and negotiation aren't selfish, they are the soil in which true love, respect, and authenticity can grow. So, Cancer, step onto your beach this week with courage. Snap those claws when someone reaches for more than you can give. Admit when you're learning, because learning is strength, not weakness. And practice the revolutionary art of saying no, of negotiating with clarity, of living not as the background character in someone else's play but as the main actor in your own unfolding epic. The stars don't want you to vanish, they want you to shine. And sometimes the brightest shine comes from the smallest but bravest word: no. Years ago, I met a Cancer woman whose soul was overflowing with stories, the kind of tales that could have filled libraries. Her notebooks were bursting with characters waiting to be born, yet her daily reality was anything but creative. She was buried under babysitting duties, endless chores, and the constant weight of saying yes to everyone else's needs. Week after week she would ask me the same question: when will it be my time? And the stars gave her the same answer, one that wasn't wrapped in mystery or magic: never, unless she chose it. Destiny doesn't arrive like Amazon Prime, dropped neatly at your doorstep. It only shows up when you decide to open the door yourself. One day, she did. She said no. No to babysitting when she needed to write. No to chores that weren't hers. No to guilt passed down like a family heirloom nobody wanted. And that simple, trembling word transformed her life. Within a year, she published her first book. Not because the cosmos carried her there on a golden chariot, but because she finally honored herself. That is the challenge of Cancer energy: understanding that fate doesn't drag you toward greatness, it mirrors the courage you show. And now, here we are in what I call the Year of Triumph 2025, a time designed for what I like to call the chosen ones, souls who know deep down that their lives are no accident. Cancer, you are among them. But let's be clear, triumph will not come from making yourself invisible or being everyone's unpaid emotional intern. It will come from balancing compassion with courage, from declaring, "I am the healer of others, but I am also the guardian of myself." Every no you utter is like lifting a dumbbell in your spiritual gym. At first, it feels awkward, maybe even selfish. But soon, those muscles become exactly what the year of triumph demands. And if anyone calls you dramatic for protecting your energy, just smile and tell them you're in training camp Cosmic Boot Camp, Crab Edition. Cancer, one of your secret superpowers has always been your ability to care with a depth that astonishes others, but sometimes you forget an equally important tool in your cosmic toolbox, laughter. Humor, when wielded wisely, is not about avoidance, it is armor. Think of it this way, life will inevitably send someone strolling up to your desk with a smile that says they are about to ruin your afternoon by unloading a pile of tasks. The old you might sigh, slump your shoulders, and agree. But this week, try something different. Look them straight in the eye and say, "Oh, I'd love to help, but my crystal ball says the universe has already assigned those tasks to you." You'll be amazed at how quickly silence becomes your ally. Or picture that one friend you know, the one who has mysteriously moved houses 4 times in a single year and somehow believes you are their designated moving company. Instead of breaking your back, smile sweetly and say, "I'm sorry, but my crab claws are officially on strike. They only lift boxes labeled my own destiny." In a single sentence, you've set a boundary and offered comic relief. That is the genius of humor. It establishes limits without hostility, it turns tension into laughter, and it reminds everyone, including you, that you are not just the nurturer but also the wise trickster who knows how to survive with style. Now, I know Cancer thrives on practical guidance, so let's balance the laughter with a little homework. First, journal daily. Write down the answer to one question: whose life did I live today, mine, or someone else's? Second, practice saying no, even in small ways. Boundaries are like muscles, they grow stronger with repetition. Third, dedicate one sacred hour each day to your own goals. Not errands, not emotional babysitting your goals. Fourth, pause and examine your motives. Am I acting from love, or from fear? Because love nourishes, while fear depletes. Finally, keep humor close at hand. It diffuses tension faster than anger ever could, and it teaches people that your kindness is matched by wit. And so, Cancer, let's draw this to a close. The universe is not punishing you, no matter how chaotic life may feel. It is preparing you, shaping you, training you for victories still to come. Every time you say no, every time you refuse to play the supporting role in someone else's drama, you step closer to the triumphant version of yourself waiting in the wings. Remember, in this year of triumph 2025, you are among the chosen ones. Your task is not to vanish for the comfort of others, but to shine so fiercely that your light becomes a guide for them to find their own truth. And please, do not apologize for living authentically. It is not selfish, it is the most radical act of love you can give. When you choose yourself, you teach others that freedom is possible. Above all, don't forget joy. Eat the dessert. Watch the sunset. Laugh until your ribs ache. Life isn't just about survival or even about triumph, it is about savoring the sweetness of being alive. And if this message strikes a chord, stay connected here on Zodiac Talks Tarot. Like, share, comment with your own stories, and let's continue exploring the stars together, not as dictators of our lives, but as mirrors reflecting the humor, strength, and triumph already within you.